Thanks. My Khaleesi references aren't quite as cool anymore since the end of the Game of Thrones, but rolling with it. I'm ready. So I work for Voices for Vermont's Children. We're a child policy advocacy and research and advocacy organization, and my particular area of interest is in economic justice. And I'm here to reclaim welfare. When you reclaim a concept or a word, you're either bringing it back from its original meaning after it's been sullied, or you're just claiming a word and owning a word that's been used to marginalize and harm and taking away its ability to do so. Got to put my glasses on. So for a long time, I want to reclaim welfare because I want to live in a state that recognizes the inherent dignity of people and prioritizes public investments and public policy that are good for kids. And what's good for kids and really good for everyone is having your basic needs met. For a long time, Americans have been fed images and stories of rugged individualism, of the power of individual effort to overcome staggering odds. And while you can always find an example to illustrate this kind of heroic exceptionalism, the data on social mobility tell a different story. But still, policymakers come at this systemic issue with individual-level solutions. The idea of a culture of poverty prevails, from Ronald Reagan's racist caricatures of welfare queens to Ben Carson's assertion that poverty results from the wrong mindset. When you pull back from the personal responsibility frame, you see that people are differently situated in relation to resources as a result of intentional policy decisions that are made in the context of white supremacy, income inequality, and patriarchy. From housing segregation, disinvestment in rural communities, a dysfunctional healthcare system, and a dearth of affordable, high-quality childcare, we are setting up families to fail. And there's a whole theory of motivation about this. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It suggests that needs lower down at the base of the pyramid have to be addressed and met before people can even start to think about climbing up to those higher levels of needs. And down there, we're talking about food, water, shelter, healthcare. Chronic scarcity leads people to fixate on the crisis before them at the expense of long-term planning and problem solving. And if you've ever been on a diet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The field of behavioral economics has, I'm going too fast, lots of data to back this up. Scarcity literally makes you worse at math and other reasoning. And for people living in poverty, it can have the same cognitive impact as losing a night of sleep. And the best intervention is cash. Reach Up is Vermont's cash assistance program for very low-income families. You can see on the chart that Reach Up grants to families have been flat for 15 years at a level that keeps families in extreme poverty. That for a family of four, that's $726 a month. At the same time, we expect participants in Reach Up to overcome huge barriers to employment and to be good parents. So we did successfully advocate for a tiny little increase this year, but you can see that doesn't make a heck of a lot of difference. We're still going to try. So if there are any parents in the room, think about how stress impacts your parenting. So is it any wonder that people living in poverty are much more likely to come in contact with the child protection system? Reach Up is a prevention program that can strengthen families and keep kids safe. Research shows that even small increases in family income can make a huge difference in kids' outcomes down the road, including graduation rates, educational attainment, better physical and mental health, and even earnings as adults. Child poverty is estimated to cost the U.S. economy more than $500 billion annually in lost productivity, increased healthcare costs, and higher criminal justice expenditures. So ending child poverty makes good sense morally and economically. The National Academies of Sciences released a study earlier this year that modeled how various combinations of work supports and social transfers could reduce child poverty and extreme poverty. And as you can see, the projected impact is significant. This is for Vermont. The biggest impact came from a package that increased the earned income tax credit, made the child and dependent care tax credit refundable, and focused on low-income families with kids under 5, and a monthly universal child allowance. The package would lift an estimated 12,000 Vermont kids out of poverty. That's most of the kids in poverty. I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of Vermonters would agree that we want every Vermont child to thrive, and we know that it's harder for some kids to do so by nature of the disinvestment in their communities, by the growing economic inequality in the country, and the legacy of systemic racism. So we can hold this universal goal for kids and pursue it through targeted strategies that address inequities and are led by the impacted people and communities. We don't have to guess. We know what works. So the next time someone uses the term welfare in a derogatory way, I hope you'll join me in saying what offends me is a system that tolerates human suffering as a side effect of our economy, and be unapologetically for making sure every kid gets to thrive. Thank you.